Was Dr. Fauci working directly with the CIA to cover up COVID's origins? That is what Congress said did happen. And in fact, they are alleging that Fauci was sneakily entering the CIA without putting his name on visitor logs for a reason, as in covert entry into the CIA. They claim they can prove it. Let's look at what they said. So high-level questions first. What does Dr. Fauci have to do with the CIA? Why did the CIA need to either have or change a conclusion about the origins of COVID? Here's the news. So this comes from the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic. They say that Dr. Anthony Fauci, while he was head of the NIH, went to the CIA to assist in the COVID origins cover-up. They say this was a covert visit. See what's written here? The information suggests that Dr. Fauci was escorted into the CIA headquarters without a record of entry and participated in the analysis to influence the agency's reviews. So what they mean here by the agency review is referring to this report they gave us dated September 12th, saying that they had a whistleblower who they thought was highly credible, a senior level CIA officer, saying that 7 members assigned to a CIA task team to analyze the origins of COVID, 6 of them concluded that the virus likely originated from a lab in China, but then the CIA offered them financial incentives and they all changed their mind after the money to a zoonotic origin, saying, oh yes, must have come from animals. I thought before the lab, I misspoke, and I got a wad of cash in my pocket that tells me that I misspoke, is what they said. Now, the letter that Congress published said that the researchers were offered money, but a follow-up letter from Chairman Brad Wenstrup says that they were, and Mike Turner says they were given money. So I believe we are led to believe here money was exchanged. They took the money. It was spent. It was your taxpayer money that paid scientists to change their mind. So when the government tells you to follow the science, what they mean is follow what we paid to be science. Got it?
Right.
Okay. Now it seems like Fauci was in on that too. The committee is asking for any visits that Dr. Fauci made to the CIA between 2020 and 2022 when he retired. They're asking for all communications internally about Dr. Fauci and the CIA, and they're asking for the testimony of Special Agent Brett Rowland, who's a criminal investigator for the Department of Health and Human Services. I did not know that the HHS had their own criminal investigators who could file charges, but they do, and Congress wants to talk to him because presumably he might have caught this, sniffed it out, right? If Fauci was being snuck into the CIA, and this is collaboration between HHS and the CIA, would he know this? Would it have been flagged on his radar? They want to know that. Now, Fauci's participation in influencing this very conclusion. So what he wanted us to believe all along was that COVID didn't come from a lab, right? We have gone over how he helped influence the conclusion of an academic paper to specifically say that COVID did not come from a lab. He was in on pitching those researchers, pitching the journal. He got to see review copies before they was published of that paper. He got to provide feedback. The paper's researchers told the publication that Fauci had commissioned this study, and him and Dr. Farrar, who now works for the World Health Organization, Dr. Jeremy Farrar, both changed the outcome of that paper to say it is very unlikely that COVID came from a lab. They don't want us to think that. They want us to think it's totally zoonotic. Why? Well, that's a really good question, and we can have our theories. But we know that he did this at least with the academic paper. Did he then do it also with the CIA? Is the question. We also know that he ignored Pentagon researchers who said that COVID very likely could have come from a lab. That was in the summer of 2020. And we know that separately, the FBI and the Department of Energy last year said that COVID probably did come from a lab. They think it's likely, both of those organizations. And the CIA has held out at agreeing with them. So now it seems maybe they paid researchers in order to reach that conclusion. That seems highly probable. And it also seems highly likely that Fauci was in on that too, with secret. I mean, why would they see this if they couldn't prove this, right?
Right. So, as we've reported here on the show, created probably at Fort Detrick, then transported and carried to the Wuhan laboratory in China, where it was released. Whether it was a leak or an actual release on purpose, that's the great question, I suppose.
Right. And we have also reported on how a respiratory virus leaked from Fort Detrick in the summer of 2019.
Right.
So workers, we know that.
Yeah, workers that we featured here on the show who were there and working there at the time. Truck drivers who were transporting things became very, very ill after having gone into Fort Detrick.
Right. Doctors who said, it's so weird, we have a respiratory virus in July in a nursing home in 2019. Right. We've shown you that footage.
Right near Fort. That's crazy. It's right near this fort where they're doing all this biological research. So
strange.
That's very strange.
So
yes, happens.
We know that. And we know that lab was shut down early on in the pandemic. And researchers were not able, no one in the international community was able to look into this. Now, China has said many times, we let you into Wuhan, we want to get into Fort Detrick. This is a tit for tat.
Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.